Special this morning, y'all. Happy Thursday. Let me see if I can get this tablet so I can see everybody's comments. Wheeler's having a special morning, y'all. We're going to do some fun crocheting though. So, how about that? That's always exciting, right? Do a little fun crocheting. Okay. I got the tablet. I can see. I got the YouTube going. Cindy, good morning. Chilly here in Virginia. It's a little chilly here this morning too. It's starting to really feel like fall, huh? All right. Deborah is here. Good morning. Karen, how are you, my friend? Holly, good morning. I crochet all day. I love that handle. I absolutely love that handle. Good morning from New Jersey. I bet you're cold up there in Jersey, my friend. A little birdie this morning, my friend Leah, who's up in Jersey, told me that it's chilly up there. Hillary is here. Good morning. Y'all, I forgot to put on the Thursday sticker. So you'll have to use the good morning one this morning. I'm slacking this week. Stacy, thank you so much for the popular and the heart me. Appreciate that. Kimberly, thank you. Kristen, good morning. Good morning, April from California. Oh, crochet all day. You're up early, my friend. It's 5:30 over there, isn't it? Iris, thank you for being here, my friend. All right. Very chilly, yeah, in New Jersey. Amy, good morning. Susan, good morning. Jennifer and Shan are here. Good morning, friends. Kelly, good morning. Friday Eve, right? I totally forgot to change the sticker this morning, Kelly. I'm slacking this morning. I was watching my friend Leah crochet this morning. Not that it's her fault. But all of a sudden I looked at the clock and it was like, oh dang, I'm right out of time. I gotta go. I gotta go. But this morning we're gonna make some country Christmas squares. Aren't they pretty? Ooh, I'm kind of close here. Let me raise y'all up a little bit. I feel like my thing is sliding down. What's happening here? Okay. Let's get everything locked into place this morning. YouTube, hang on. I'm going to get you all situated too this morning. Okay, is that a little better? Can we see me crocheting? Test, test. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. Okay, let's tighten this guy down. All the camera things this morning. I need to wake up earlier so I can watch Leah. No, totally, Kelly. She's been going on this morning. She went on at what 6:30 this morning, and it's a really fun live. It's nice and relaxing. It's a great way to start your morning. Really is. Y'all, look at this yarn. Isn't it delightful? It's not your traditional like Christmas colors. I mean, it does have red and green and white, right? Which are traditional. But this Herrschner sparkle, it's more like a country feel to it. It's kind of muted colors, I guess you could say. So it's more of like an olive. This is kind of more like a loofah color, like a very pale green. And then the red, instead of being that traditional bright, bright red, it's like a rosy red. And it is fabulous. I am loving this so much. So I didn't know. I bought a whole bunch of their sparkle yarns. I love Herrschners yarn. For those of you that are up in that neck of the country where you get to go see Herrschners in person, I'm uber jealous of y'all. They have some fabulous yarns. One of the wonderful things about Herrschners, can you see that pull tag? Oh my gosh. Is that not the coolest thing? All of their skeins that they do have that. Every yarn company should do that for us, right? MJ, good morning. Black Cat, good morning. The thing I like about this sparkle that they have, I'm sure you all have purchased sparkle in the past where they put this metallic in there. And when you feel the metallic, it's really, really rough, like tree bark rough. And it's rough on your finger when you're using it. And this metallic that they have, it is a very fine strand of metallic in there. And it is just enough to add that little pop of color, that little tinseling effect, which we love around the holidays. But can you see how fine it is? So they haven't overdone it. And this is actually a really nice tinsel. So I love this yarn. I get it from Herrschners. Okay, now Herrschners can be a little pricey on shipping. So what I recommend you do is wait until they're having a sale. Somebody posted in the Discord yesterday that it was $4.99 for shipping. So I don't know. Check out their site. They have other beautiful colors as well. The other one I'm working a lot with right now, my skein is kind of a little floppy, but look at the blue and gray. This one to me is like snowmen, like totally snowman colors. So, so pretty. Cynthia, thank you so much for the follow, my friend, this morning. Welcome in. My name is April. Today we're going to make these squares. So you can see I have a whole bunch of them in my lap. And I know one of the first questions y'all are going to ask me, did you color control these? I absolutely did. I absolutely color controlled them. What we mean by color control is when the yarn comes out of the skein, it doesn't line up in rows exactly like this. Okay. So what I have done is I've used the dark olive, the lighter olive, and then the ivory color, and then the like rose color. I basically, after I finished a row, I snipped off, and you guys are going to see that. Now I've made a whole grip of these squares. I don't know how many I have. But you can see some of them I'm outlining with the green, and I'm just making them all look a little different. Some of them might end up looking the same, but I'm just mix and matching just as I go along. Whatever I feel like, I'm kind of doing these squares this way. Here's some more that are outlined with the red. Obviously, when you color control like this, you're going to have a ton of tails to weave in. Okay, so definitely, if you're going to do this, realize in advance you're going to have some extra work that a lot of you don't like to do. But this is what is called a solid granny square. It's very easy. And I will mention with this square, when I first started playing around with it, I tried a number of different granny shapes. I tried the sunburst granny. I tried my one little one I like, which is the English rose. I tried a whole bunch of different patterns. And what I came up with is when I was doing more complicated patterns, right? Flowers and that kind of stuff, although in my mind it seemed like it would look really cool, what I found was they felt overdone. This yarn, because we have the tensiling in it, it felt like the texture of the squares was overpowering the tensiling effect. And so as I realized that, and then I said, well, what could I use that's a more simplified pattern to let the yarn be the star of the show, right? Not necessarily the pattern to be the star, but what can I really get that yarn to like grab people's attention? And that's when I went with the solid granny square. And all of a sudden I was like, aha, that is the one. So, one thing I took away from this is a lot of times I try to be fancier with my squares. And I need to think, how fancy is the yarn itself? Will this pattern detract from the actual beauty of the yarn? So when it's variegated or has tensiling in this effect or different colors, maybe I need to go with a simpler square to really let that yarn be the star. So that's one takeaway that I definitely had with this. So I say, let's get this party started and let's um, get this going, and we can start with making one of these squares. Now, again, I'm trying to use all of the yarn that I have in this skein, and they're kind of longer sections of yarn. So I'm going to pull out so you guys can see how much of the ivory there is before it changes. Okay. Just to kind of give you a feel. So I have this much ivory before it starts transitioning to the lighter olive color. And basically, I will tell you, when we do this solid square, there is enough of each of the colors to do the outer row. So it wasn't like I had to use some of this ivory and then go to the next section and get ivory. There's enough right here to be able to do the very outer row. So that was very beneficial as I was working it. Martika said, every yarn I use with Tencel breaks. What brand of yarn is this? This does not break, Martika. This is Herrschners Holiday Sparkle. The tensiling in this yarn is very fine and it really sits nicely to the acrylic. This is a 4-weight yarn. This is the colorway Holiday Elegance. 4 medium weight, 92% acrylic, 8% polyester. That polyester that's coming in is from that tencel that's in the yarn. It calls for an I9 hook, and this is lovely, machine wash and dry. It can be purchased online from Herrschners website. And all of their yarns have a pull tab, which I find just lovely. They all have a little easy start. Look at that. Isn't that handy? So, anyhow, that is a bit about the yarn. So, I am going to use an I9 hook this morning, and we're going to make this granny square. So, let me snip off my easy start here. Thank you, Herrschners, once again for making my life better. I'm not affiliated with Herrschners, but I love their yarn. JT, good morning. Thank you so much for the pumpkins, my friend. Appreciate you, Sherilyn. Thank you for the populars and the pumpkins. Very nice to have you here. Friends, I was doing a lot of talking as we got started here. I'll try to catch up on some of the comments. If I missed your comment, please feel free to ask. I will be using this to make a wheelchair sized blanket for donation. Now, I like to start these squares with a magic ring. Oh, that's a little loud. Hang on, let me turn this down, friends. I don't know why that's so loud this morning. Yikes. Enough to jolt me out of my chair. You can also start with a chain of 3 or 4 if you prefer. I will show both ways this morning how to start that square, either with the magic ring or with the chain. Candy Joe, good morning. Welcome in. Gen X Purple Heart with the Go Popular. Thank you, Jen. Good morning. Firefly, thank you so much for the heart me. Debbie with the pumpkins. Good morning, Debbie. Rita, good morning. Melissa is here. Good morning, Melissa. When I start my magic ring, I do my magic ring a little different than all my friends out there in the little crochet land. What I do is I yarn over and I pull down a loop and I make it so that it's crisscrossed here in my fingers. And I hold my thumb and middle finger where that crisscross is. Okay. For our very beginning center, we are going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and each of the corners will have chain 2. We're going to do that 4 times, just like you would do a normal granny square. Okay, so that's what we're looking to accomplish. So once again, I've got my magic ring crisscrossed. Make sure you give yourself a long enough tail that you have something to weave in. Okay, don't cut yourself short there. Holding the crisscross, I'm going to make a standing double crochet into this magic ring. The way I do this is I wrap my yarn around my hook 2 times. I go down into that ring. I also go over under the tail. Okay, so I'm going under both those loops. I pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That is my standing double crochet. Very, very easy. There's no twisting. There's no sliding my hook different ways. Very, very easy. I'll do it again for those that are not familiar. So I'm holding my little crisscross here with my loop. My loop points over to the right. I don't go through the loop or anything. I come up here to my working yarn. I wrap my yarn around twice, go down into my magic ring, pull up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so there's our standing double. I'm going to put 2 more double crochets into this magic ring. So we have 3. Then I'm going to chain 2 and then right back down into that. Oh, there we go. I was zoomed in for some reason. Like, why is this looking so weird this morning? Then we're going to do 3 more double crochets. Now, as I work this, friends, I'm working over the magic or the tail. So I just kind of curve this tail along. So I'm working through the ring, but also over the tail. And I do the magic ring. However, sometimes I also do a chain of 3 or chain of 4 for the center. It just depends on the mood that I'm in. A lot of people do not like the magic ring because it can come undone. And typically, what I have noticed, I've never had one come undone, but I leave myself a really long tail and I weave my yarn around the center of this numerous times. And you're going to see that here in just a minute. So if you don't like weaving in your ends or your tail, then I would not recommend doing the magic ring, especially for a blanket. Okay. So there's our last grouping. We need to chain two and we're going to connect here to our very first double crochet that I made. Okay, so there we have our very center of our square. Now, again, you can pull on this tail because we went over top of it. I kind of hold my thumb here so I don't put too much pressure on the stitches. And you give it a little tug. Okay, now I have this long tail. I'm going to weave this in a whole bunch of times. As I'm weaving in this yarn, you want to be sure to split the fibers. And I'll explain what that is in just a second. Let's get our needle on here. Okay, I've got the tencel through there. And I'm going to weave under these stitches and I'm going to go around and around and around. Now, as I'm doing this, I mentioned I'm trying to split the fibers. When you look at a strand of yarn, most cases it's comprised of multiple smaller strands of yarn that are twisted together in the factory. So, for example, if we look at this yarn and I split the fibers apart, see how there's 4 strands that comprise this yarn plus the metallic? So, as I go through and I'm weaving in this tail, I'm not putting my needle underneath the yarn. Sometimes that happens. However, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to put my needle through the actual fibers themselves and split this yarn apart as I'm weaving it. So, what happens is because this yarn is a twisted strand, it will help to hold on to your tail. And as you split those yarns and go around and around and around, each time trying to split the yarns, I will tell you, I have tried to frog these centers that I have made, and I am unable to frog them. I can't get the fibers apart because it is such a strong grip on my yarn. Okay, so again, I'm trying to just not just slide under, but slide between those strands and really work our way all the way around. And I will do this like uh, the whole length of this strand. Now, I don't want it to make it look so that the center looks weird, but I go around and around. I'm not bashful about it at all. Lord Puffington, good morning, Your Highness, Your Grace. Welcome in. Viv, good morning. Valdox is here. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a great day. Colleen, good morning. Molly, good morning. Molly said, I learned something new this morning. Well, Molly, I'm glad to hear that. I am April. My name is April, if you're new to my channel here. I'm a hobby crocheter and I come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings, and I try to share some of my little tips about crocheting. I have been crocheting for 40 years, but I don't crochet as my profession. I do work full time, and you can see I've really woven that tail in. I'll tell you, that little tail, guys, she's not coming out of there. She's not coming out of there. Okay, so I'm going to snip off. Now the very center of our square is finished. And we're going to be changing colors because I'm going to do a different color for every row. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and snip off this ivory color. And I will weave in this tail on the next round. Inspired me to start a granny square blanket. Awesome. I love that. Okay, so there we go. There's our very center. Isn't it cute? Now, instead of working the granny square where we work it into just the corners as we work our way around and then in the side spaces, for this granny square that we're doing, we're going to be working these stitches along the top as well. So this is what is called a solid granny square. It really is a nice pattern. If you need something, if you have other granny squares, like let's say you have a bunch of flower squares you made, but you're tired of making flowers, you could slip some of these squares in with your blanket and it will help to accentuate and bring the flowers kind of elevated and look like be the star of the show. And these can be a nice supporting actress for your flower squares. Is blocking necessary for granny squares or other shapes? Kelly, I will tell you, I do not block my granny squares. Now, you can see mine are pretty uniform. I think when I sew them together, they really pull out and the corners are nice. But my stitches are very consistent and I just kind of most times don't have to do that. Have I ever blocked in the past? Absolutely. I have blocked in the past, depending on the square and how it was, if it was laying super curly or whatever. But for this particular square, if your stitches are nice and consistent, you probably wouldn't even have to block it. So again, you'd have to kind of assess for yourself. Everybody crochets a little different. Lady of the Alabama Acres, you bring joy, happiness, and peace to all who hear you. Well, thank you, Lord Puffington. I appreciate that. Hey, Queen, good morning. Welcome in. Funny 67 is here. Queen 530, thank you so much for the friendship necklace. I appreciate you. Veronica, good morning. Why use variegated and control the colors rather than buy four colors? Because they didn't have this country color. They have a darker green that is like an evergreen. It's not really like an olive green. They do have this color here. This is called uh loofah, and their red is dark red. It's like a Christmas red. So I couldn't buy these colors in individual skeins. Had I been able to, I absolutely would have done that. So that's why I'm using a variegated yarn, controlling the colors rather than buying four colors. So it's a personal thing. If you don't have to control the colors either. You could just let the color flow out of the skein and however it turns out, it turns out. I'm a little more particular than that. I have a hard time just letting it flow. K Genius, good morning. Arlene doesn't block her granny squares either, so that makes sense. I'm checking out Herrschners website now. I'm hoping they ship to Canada. They might because aren't they up in Wisconsin? They're in Wisconsin. They're kind of up by the border there, I think. Kate Genius, thank you so much for the paper crane, my friend. Appreciate that. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. I did miss some of the other comments here while I was weaving in that. Why won't it let me see them? Oh, well, I guess it only lets me scroll back so far. Kristen, thank you so much for the heart me. The yarn I'm using is from Herrschners. Yes, northern Wisconsin. So this is called Herrschner's Worsted Holiday Sparkle. They have other colorways as well. So really, really pretty. I'm going to make another square. We're going to start another one right now, Terry Bear, and I'm going to start it with the chain of either 3 or 4. So if you don't like doing the magic ring, we're going to do another one now. Okay. Just a Gen X girl, welcome in. Good morning. Billy asked a great question. Beginner here, what does blocking mean? What it means when you block is you actually can get like a rubber mat and they have blocking boards. But basically, what you would do is you would dampen your granny square and the board typically comes with pins, and what you do after you get it dampened is you would put pins into the corners of your squares and you would stretch it out to the shape that you want. So here's another example of why you would block. Okay, last night and this morning I made some snowflakes. Eventually we're going to make some snowflakes on the live, but when you see like really lacy items like this, and what I can do is I can actually put this in starch solution. And I would use the same technique where I take the little pins. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to stretch these stitches out with the starch and then let them dry so that my snowflake looks really nice and delicate and lacy. Because when you first do it, all of the stitches kind of get a little rumpled up. So if you think back to when your grandma was making like pineapple doilies and that kind of thing around the house. Surely everybody had an aunt or somebody who had, the old school doilies under their lamps and stuff. Most of the time, those were starched. Okay. So again, I'm going to, try to make this so it looks like little loops rather than a scrunched up piece and really get the delicacy of the item. Yes, spray starch as well, JT. Good point. So basically, you could get this all pinned out, hit it with your spray starch, and then you're going to, get this to flatten out. It's the same concept with a granny square. Does that make sense to everybody of about blocking and why you might want to do it? Okay, let's put this little granny center to the side here, and let's do another one with the loofah color. Now, when this yarn changes colors, it is a little bit darker here at the very beginning, but I don't really care about that because that's going to be woven in to my project. Now, I'm still going to save this, guys, because we're going to use that ivory as well. So the very first square that we did the magic ring. Okay. And a lot of people do not like the magic ring. However you prefer to do this is totally acceptable. We're going to do it now with a chain center instead of a magic ring. So I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. Okay. And I like to do a chain of 3. A lot of people prefer to do a chain of 4. For me, it's 3. So I'm going to chain 1, 2, and 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hook back. I like to connect in the back bump. This is the front of the chain. See how you have your sideways V's there? I like to bring my hook to the back bump. See this little bump here? And I'm going to slide my hook under that back bump. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I just pull my yarn through and then I pull through that stitch I was in. And this gives us a center where I can work my stitches. Kristen does a chain of 2. If you can get it tighter, it's better if you want your center to be really solid. Now, there are times where you would want to do more chains than that. If we go back to our snowflake example, see how this one by design had a bigger center here? This one I chained 6 when I did my starting chain. So every pattern is a little different. A lot of people like to do the chain of 4 in the very center, and that's totally fine as well. You have to kind of find what works for you. This one I chained 5 in the center. Again, it's got a nice little center of the snowflake there. So once we do that, we're going to do a chain of 3, and that's going to count as our first double crochet. Then we're going to work 2 more double crochets into that very center. Okay, so there's our chain of 3. Look for that very center. You want to make sure you're getting right in the middle, and that's where we're going to work our next 2 double crochets. Some people also prefer to do a chain of 2 instead of a chain of 3. That is totally acceptable as well. As I say all the time, there's no rules in crochet, and nobody's going to roll up in your living room, call the crochet police. So you have to figure out, do some testing, figure out what works best for you. Hey, Summer Storm, welcome in. Good morning. Here we are changing to the dark olive. So I'm going to go ahead and snip this off. Again, I'm controlling these colors, guys. If you didn't want to control your colors, you would just keep crocheting along and let the yarn do its work. Now, as I'm working in this center, I again am going to work over the tail. I'm just going to curl it up as I go. So I work over that chain and also over that tail. That will help us to close up that center if we would like to. After we get our 3 stitches, we're going to chain 2, and into that center ring again, we're going to do our 3 double crochets. Here's 2. Wee woo, wee woo. That's right. Breaking all the rules this morning, Crochet Rebel over here. As long as it works and does what it does is a matter of how I feel. That's right. Sometimes you just do your thing, right? And let her go. Cassie, good morning. Thank you so much for the heart me and the popular this morning. Appreciate you, my friend. Okay, chain 2. Shan, Leah said my arms were already up and waving. Here's Leah. Wasn't me. We get a little wee woo in the action in the chat and hands up, everybody. Okay, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. I do love this color palette. It's really pretty. It just looks like such country Christmas to me. Okay, now we've chain 2 for our last corner, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch to my very first stitch here that we made, the chain of 3. Once again, I'm going to snip off because we're going to be changing colors, okay? So now what we're going to do is you can pull on this and it will kind of close your tail. Now, even though I did a chain and it is very tight here in the center, I still will weave this tail in a little bit. I always like to make sure that it's as secure as I can get it. Even if I do a chain of 3, some people will just snip off right now. That is entirely your call as the creator. But I do take the time to weave in my end a little bit more, and I still do the splitting of the fibers that we talked about earlier, where we're trying to split these stitches and sneak in between those fibers so that it gives it a good grip on our yarn. I don't like to have a bunch of tails that come out of our blanket after we've washed it a few times, right? So there we go. Woven in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the second row. And for the second row, we're just changing the colors. So we have the dark olive, this lighter green color, the ivory, and then we have the red. Now, I already have this ivory that is left over from when we did this one. So I'm going to go ahead and use this yarn now for my next round. So I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. Hillary said it's so gorgeous. I just ordered 6 skeins. Not sure what I'm going to make though. So I originally purchased, excuse me, 2 skeins, and I bought it of all the colorways. Yes, do not judge. I bought all the colorways. Um, so anyhow, then I was like, oh, I'm going to make a blanket with this. And I'm like, I don't have enough. So I actually have a Herrschners order, and the FedEx yarn truck, as I like to call it, um, is arriving today with my Herrschners order. So I'm kind of excited. Christy asked a great question. Does washing items affect the blocking? It sometimes will affect that, Christy, because when you put it in the washer and dryer, it kind of tends to go back to its original shape. That is why I really am of the mindset, if it doesn't look good when I'm finished with it, it's not going to look good long term, right? Hey, there's Miss Maggie. Good morning, Maggie. Y'all, Maggie is a fabulous crochet artist. If you are not already following her, I highly recommend her. She does a fabulous Saturday and Sunday weekend show, and I absolutely love, she's part of my morning routine every weekend, and I truly enjoy her channel. So definitely check her out if you're not already following. In the corner, I'm going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. This is called a solid granny square. So we're working on the second row right now, where we're doing our corners are 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Now, unlike the traditional granny square where you would skip over to the next corner and you would be doing 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles, we're going to actually work our double crochets along the top of their stitches as well. So it makes it a really nice solid piece for your blanket. These are great filler squares if you think you're doing like a flower square and you get tired of making flowers. This is a beautiful piece to incorporate in. Just a very nice, easy square. The other thing is when you have fancy yarns, like this has all the silver in it, sometimes when you do a more complicated square, it can detract from the beauty of the yarn. A simplified pattern like this can really allow that yarn to be the star. And I really enjoy how this is looking. I'm mixing and matching here. You can see I've got all sorts of different ways I've done it. Some of them have white in the middle, some of them have red in the middle. I'm just mixing them all up, kind of like a old timey Christmas. And I'm going to sew them all together for a blanket. I'm actually going to partner this, I think, with the modern granny and kind of incorporate both of them. Nancy, thank you so much for the follow, my friend. Welcome in. Good morning. My name is April. Nice to have you here. Valleys Crochet, good morning. Welcome in. Can you show how you connected that, please? Oh, yes, absolutely. So a lot of people will tie on here in the corner. And what I'm doing is what is called a standing double crochet. So I start with a slip knot on my hook. And I pretty much use all standing double crochets now whenever I'm changing colors. So, one of the things you have to remember when you're doing a standing double crochet is you have to secure your tail. The way that we execute this stitch is we yarn over and then we're going to go into our space here. If you do not hold the tail, what happens is it will spin off and you'll be back down to one loop on our hook. So I hold it here between my thumb and my pointer finger. I think that's my pointer finger. And I wrap my yarn around once. So we have two loops on our hook. Then I go down through that space in the corner. Now my hand is at an uncomfortable angle. This is not how I crochet because I'm hanging onto this tail. So what I do is I bring my hand forward. I transfer the job of holding that tail to Mr. Thumb here. And he's going to hold that while I complete the rest of this stitch. If he lets go, we'll be back down to one loop because it'll again slide off. So right now you can see we have two. I bring up my third loop, then I yarn over, pull through two, and yarn over, pull through two. This is what is called a standing double crochet. So it makes it so that you do not have to tie on in your corner. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with tying on if that is how you prefer. But I like the look of the stitch as a standing double as compared to a chain of three. So I really like how it looks. And of course, the tail is secure because we did a slip knot there. So I'll be able to weave it in and it'll be very nice and secure. I hold the loop on the hook. It's easier for me. Yeah, it takes a little practice, Sabrina, and everybody has a little different technique. So you might find holding the tail uncomfortable. It's just the way that I figured out how to do it. But I like to point out about holding the tail. When I was first learning, the videos that I was watching, some of them did not talk about this. And so it kept spinning off. And I was like, how am I going to get this to stay on it? Because I can't get the two loops to stay. And that's when I figured out how I would do my holding technique. So, it's different for everybody and there's really no right or wrong. You have to do some experimenting and figure out kind of what works best for you. But look at how beautiful those two stitches look together because this is a double crochet rather than a chain of three. It's just a nice way to kind of elevate your crochet stitches. So two double crochets, chain two, and then we need two double crochets. So this is a little different than your traditional granny square, in that instead of three in the corners, we're only going to do two. Now we're going to move to the top of these next three stitches, and we're going to do a double crochet in the top of those as well. So right near the top, I'm going under both loops, and we're just going to work our three double crochets. Hey, Victoria, good morning. Okay, now we're back to the corner. In the corner, we're going to go back to our two double crochets, chain two, and two double crochets. Now working back along the top, we're going to put a double crochet in each of the next three stitches. Thank you for the heart me, Victoria. Appreciate that. And the Go Popular. Nice. Here we are back to the corner. Two double crochets, chain two, and two double crochets. Look how nice that is looking. Very simple, but kind of elegant. Looks really nice, doesn't it? I love the look of that. It's just so simple and clean, and I just love it. It looks beautiful. One of my favorite things to do. I would tell you, our friend JT was working on these squares. He is he was using scrap yarn and doing some stash busting. And he was doing all sorts of beautiful colors. They look like fall. And he's going to be sending those off to Maggie, Magical Unicorn. And for the community blanket, he was just doing some scrap busting. And I had been struggling with this yarn to find the right pattern. And when I saw him making the squares, I said, "Ah, JT, thank you. I'm going to totally latch onto that. I need to try that pattern with this yarn. I think it'll work perfect." And I love it. It just nailed it. It's so nice. You always have such great picks with your yarn. Oh, thank you, Tay. I'm my secondary hobby, as you guys all know, in addition to crocheting, is I am a yarn hoarder, yarn collector, yarn connoisseur. I have a real yarn. I need to go see a yarn counselor, I think. I don't know. So, yes, Kelly, we all need a little inspiration, right? Are you going under the stitches? I am. So these are the stitches right here. Can you see, Terry Bear, the 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3? I yarn over, I go under both those loops, and then you would yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. But I am going under both loops when I make these. I am a curator of an amazing yarn collection, right? I love that. I love that. Uh, too funny. Luckily, yarn counselors aren't a thing. I will tell you, the type of folks that I hang out with, they're more like, "Oh, did you see this yarn? You should get it. See how that is?" They're like, "Oh, this one's beautiful. Have you seen this? You should maybe check this out, April." And then here's April. "Oh, yeah, you're right. I got to have that." I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch here that I made. And I'm going to work my way over to the corner. This is how my grandma taught me to do it. You can snip off right here if you would like, but the way Grams taught me, we always weave in our tails in the corner. So it just really is a personal preference. And again, you don't have to do that. But now I'm going to snip off. We are done with the ivory color. Look how nice that's looking. We have this much ivory left. It might be enough for another center, but I don't really know. We're not going to chance it on the live. But here we go with our ivory we made. What do y'all think that we put a little green on it, since we've got this right here handy? This one had a little fuzziness happening. I'm going to cut that off just to kind of smooth that out a little bit. Okay, so once again, we are going to start with a slip knot on our hook. Now I'm going to work into this corner here. I like to put the tail, see how the tail ended right here? I like to bring the tail back this way, and it already gets it started weaving it in for me. So I do chain 2 before snipping off, Barbara. It is not standard. It's a little April thing that she does. I just find that the knot is more secure when I chain 2. It's really hard to get this off. I literally have to get like a needle and try to get that. I do have to pull it down with my thumb, but it makes a really super tight knot. And it's easy to be hidden because it's in the corner. We're going to crochet over that knot, so I never worry about it showing through. But it makes it so that it's very secure. When I started doing this, raise your hand if you have used Karen Simply Soft. Debbie, yes, it's called Holiday Elegance. Raise your hand if you have used Karen Simply Soft yarn. I will tell you, if you chain 1 to close that Karen Simply Soft, that knot does not stay closed. That is why I started doing 2, is because I was making baby blankets with Karen Simply Soft, and none of my knots were holding because that yarn is beautiful, it's silky, but it's super slippery. So I made an adjustment and I said, what if I make 2 chains before I snip off? Will it hold the knot more secure? And the answer was, my friends, it absolutely does. And now I do it all the time. This is called Holiday Elegance that I'm using today, guys. Holiday Elegance. So we're going to start with our loofah color here. Again, I kind of pull my tail across that corner I'm going to work into. And once again, I'm going to make that standing double crochet. Now, if you don't like to do the standing double crochet, guys, most certainly you could do a chain of 3, however you like to do that. I got my hair in this. It's kind of weird when I crochet, y'all, when I'm on the live. I will tell you, I have to wear certain glasses to be able to see the screen to read the comments. And normally when I crochet, I use stronger glasses to be able to see the stitches. I kind of have to do a little compromising, and I can't see this very clearly every day when I come on live. But I try to make it work. I do the magic circle, yes. This one, um, we did a chain of 3. You could also do a chain of 4. Either way works totally fine. Oh, no, not the yarn glasses. Yes, JT. Yes, JT. I turned 50 this year. I've been wearing readers for a while. Okay, we're going to do the standing double crochet. I'm going to hold my tail in my pointer finger and thumb, wrap my yarn around. Keep in mind again, if you're making the standing double, if you do not somehow secure this tail, what will happen is your yarn will spin off and you'll be back down to 1 loop. So that is why I hold my tail. Then I go down through the corner where I want to work and I put my yarn forward. I need to free up this hand. And now I'm going to have my Mr. Thumb hold on to this yarn. If he lets go, once again, one of those little loops is going to spin off on us. Okay. Then I bring up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's a standing double crochet. Once again, you can always tie on here. You could do a stacked single. If you prefer that, you could do a chain of 3. There's no real right or wrong way to get this started. Okay. This is how I prefer to do it. Tata, I don't know if I said that right. Tada, Bug. Thank you for the follow, my friend. Absolutely, we'll do this again. This is a new concept to some people. Again, I'm putting my tail over to try to help with weaving it in. Secure the tail between my pointer finger and my thumb. I wrap my yarn around so we have 2 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to go down through the corner space. Again, I'm holding this tail the entire time. I'm at an awkward angle here. I have to bring my tail forward. I'm going to have Mr. Thumb hold on to that tail so that way I can go back to my crochet little hold here. We've still got our 2 loops. Now, if this lets go, that loop could possibly twist off again. Okay, so make sure you keep hold of that tail. However, you need to figure out how to do that. This is my technique. I pull up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Standing double crochet. I see it now. Awesome, awesome. Leslie, thank you so much for the follow, my friend. Welcome in. Friends, if you are new to the channel, my name is April. And I come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings at 7:30 Central Time. I stay on for a couple hours, at which time I hop off and time to go to work. So I do work full time. In the corner here, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to put 2 more double crochets right back down into our corner space. Now we are making a solid granny this morning. So you can see, instead of working only in the corners for our second row like you would do with a traditional granny square, we're going to work 3 double crochets along this side here as well. As we get larger and larger, we'll have more of those along the side. Hey, Sparky, good morning. Welcome in. Cassie, happy early birthday, my friend. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. 50 and staying young as ever. There you go, Hooked in Hobbies. There you go. Right? Age is just a state of mind. Just a state of mind. Cassie's going to be turning the big 50 tomorrow. We're of the same generation. Same generation. Honey Babe, thank you so much for the follow. Amy, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Friends, we're doing a lot of different colors for these squares. It's a beautiful yarn I got from Herrschners. And you can see I'm just doing different ways of putting these together. And I'm going to sew them all. We have red outlines, ivory outlines, all the different colors. So I've got, I don't even know, I haven't counted all these, but I know I need some more. I need at least 20 squares for the project I'm going to do. I'm going to be making a wheelchair size blanket for donation. I have bifocals. I can't wear reading glasses due to astigmatism. I have astigmatism too, Arlene, but I wear contacts because um, I can't see anything without, I wouldn't be able to see the hand in front of my face here. Uh, I can't see far away or close up anymore. But I wear contacts full time and then I just wear readers. I do have glasses that have bifocals. I finally went and picked them up on my vacation the other day, and I haven't even tried them. I always have my contacts on. Okay, so we're going to work along the top here into our first stitch. We're going to place a double crochet. I'm going under both loops, okay? Go under both loops, double crochet, and we need one more. There's a total of 3 here, double crochets. Okay, then we're going to work into the corner. We're going to have 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Now here we are to the next side. Amy said, TIL the other direction so it is covered, no tails to weave in. I like to split my fibers when I weave in my tails. So I do it with a needle because I try to split the strand of yarn so that it holds onto it really nice. So I guess I do mine a little different, but if that technique works for you, absolutely. Whatever you can do to make your life a little easier with crocheting, right? I'm going to do 3 double crochets again along the side, back to the corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Again, working along the side, we have 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a double crochet into each of those stitches. Tony Ann, thank you so much for the rose. Kafkin, thank you for the follow, my friend. Welcome in. My name is April. Thanks for joining the live this morning. Thank you, all the friends, for being here. We have a fabulous group that joins up in the morning, and we all have our coffee together and all the fun stuff. Hooked and Hobbies says, what color are you planning to stitch together with? I'm going to do the mattress stitch, Hooked and Hobbies. So I want them to butt up and be nice together. And I don't want to see any color in between. So when you do the mattress stitch, it'll look just like this, essentially. Really nice, smooth join without any additional color. I think it'll look really nice. We'll see. To be determined. But that's my plan, is to do a mattress stitch with these squares. Uh, Let's see. Daisy Cake, thank you so much for the follow, my friend. Welcome in. Somebody was asking about my county fair. I'm sorry, I saw that question towards the beginning of the live. My county fair has not happened yet. The county fair, I think, is October 22nd and 21st and 22nd. Don't quote me on that. But I still have some time. We're in October now, but I do have 2 projects I still need to get finished up. But I'll definitely be working on my county fair blanket over the weekend. I'm working on those kind of in the background. I join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch, and then I slip stitch into the corner. Now, the question that I got asked earlier, guys, is do I do a chain of 2 when I um, tie off? And the answer is yes. So let me show you what we're talking about on that. Here's a chain of 1. We're going to snip off. Normally, that's what you do. You chain 1, you pull through, and you tighten it up like that. However, this stitch I have found to be very easy to come loose as we're working with our squares and whatnot. It'll come right out. Okay. So what I prefer to do, we're going to put that little loop back on our hook. I chain 2 when I exit. Then what I do is I hold my thumb and finger here. If you just pull, only this stitch is going to tighten up. But what I do is I pull down, and you will actually feel that stitch slide down and compress. And I will tell you that knot right there, it's very, very difficult to get that out. And that's why I started doing a chain of 2. So you'll see me doing that on everything that I do. I always, when I'm tying off, do a chain of 2. I started doing it with the Karen Simply Soft, because if you've ever worked with that yarn, if you just do a chain 1, your squares are going to be coming loose very easily. So that's the reason why I started doing that, is from that experience. Okay, so friends, now we are to the olive color. Let's get this pulled out. Game changer for me also. Yeah, Maggie noticed I was doing that on the live one day. She's very observant. A lot of you guys are very observant. with what I'm doing. And the things that I don't think matter, I'll get asked questions and I'm like, oh yeah, that is a good question. I never thought about that. These are things I just kind of do, right? And Maggie asked about it, and I explained to her how to do it. And so, Maggie, have you incorporated it into when you're doing your granny squares tying off? And have you noticed a difference? I think it's a handy little trick. I really do. Okay, here we go. Let's start with our dark olive color here. Once again, I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. And I'm trying to think here. This one we would need to end in red. Let's go ahead and use this light square here. So once again, I kind of bend my tail over there, just to kind of give it started weaving in. And once again, I'm going to do that standing double. So I have secured my tail here, holding it in my fingers, yarn over, go down into that corner space, transfer the job of holding Mr. Thumb there, pause for a puzzle piece, pull up a loop. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. You can see how this yarn, I'm still holding it. I'm letting it slide though as I work on it. Pull through 2 and pull through 2. So it's not it's a very light hold, very light hold. Okay, so I really don't like how that went on that side of the knot. I didn't want it to do that. Well, we'll weave that in. It shouldn't be um Rojo, I am a yarn under girl. Very good eye. Very good eye, my friend. I have done that my entire life of crocheting. It really doesn't make a difference as long as you're very consistent with your stitches. But I yarn under. So, does anybody need an explanation of the difference between a yarn under and a yarn over? I do a yarn under, and I'd be happy to show how that is done. We do a second double crochet and then chain 2. It does make the stitches a little tighter. Here, let me show the difference. Okay. So I'm going to do 2 more double crochets how I do them here in the corner. Let's get to the side of our square here and we'll put these side by side. I'm going to work a double crochet into each of these stitches as we work along. So this one I'm doing a yarn under. Okay, now I'm going to switch and I'm going to do the yarn over, which is what most crocheters do. Okay, so I wrap my yarn around. This is a yarn over. Do you see how the yarn is sitting on top of my hook? That is a yarn over. I bring my hook down, bring your hook up. Again, see how the yarn is sitting on top of my hook? That is a yarn over. I pull up a loop. We have 3. Yarn over. Yarn is sitting on top of my hook. Pull through 2. And yarn over, once again, sitting on top of my hook. Pull through 2. We'll do that a couple more times. So yarn over, go down into your stitch under both loops. Again, the yarn is coming over the top of my hook. Pull up a loop. We have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over under both uh, stitches. Yarn is coming over the top of our hook. Pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So these stitches right here are the yarn over technique that most crocheters do. Marley said, apparently I do a yarn under. Well, let me show you the difference. I am a yarn under gal as well. I yarn over, the yarn's coming on the top of my hook. I go into that stitch under both loops. Now, instead of turning my hook like this, I reach out and I grab my yarn like that. So if we look at how that is actually pulling through, can you see how the yarn is coming underneath my hook? That, my friends, is a yarn under. So when I learned, I found it easier just to pull through like this and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Do that a couple more times. Yarn over, underneath, I put it through. Again, looking at how we dissect that stitch, the yarn is underneath my hook. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So here you can see the difference. These 3 stitches right here are the traditional yarn over technique. Do you see how the legs of that stitch are split apart into more of an a V? These are my yarn unders. See how it is a twisted, more of a twisted, streamlined stitch? These are yarn unders. Friends, I would not worry if you're doing a yarn over or a yarn under. I get asked a lot because I do a yarn under and it's not traditionally what people do. I would make this argument. It does not matter if you do a yarn over or a yarn under, as long as you're consistent. You will never see me mixing a yarn over stitch and a yarn under stitch. I do it the same way every time, over and over and over again. And my work is very consistent. And people who've been crocheting a long time who understand the difference would be able to look at my stitches and know that I did a yarn under. However, the average citizen looking at a work, if you're going to give somebody a blanket, they're not going to know. They're not going to know any difference. And it's so much, in fact, that I can't leave these stitches like this. I have to frog this and go back to my normal way. But I hope that explains the difference between the yarn over and the yarn under. The yarn under is a tighter, what I would describe as a more twisted stitch, possibly how those fibers play together. It is used frequently in amigurumi. A lot of people who specialize in amigurumi intentionally use the yarn under technique as they're working their stitches. And those are predominantly single crochets, if not all single crochets. Um, Marley said you have a video on your page about the difference. What I can do is I can extract a video clip of this um, and share it on my page. You know, when I was learning to crochet 40 years ago, there was no internet. There was no like online tutorials. That didn't exist. I learned from my mom and my grandma, and we didn't even talk about yarn over and yarn under. It wasn't even a thing when I learned to crochet. I was really young. I'm 50. You know, I've been crocheting for 41 years. I learned when I was 9. And I will tell you, after all these years of crocheting, I got asked on one of my first lives, "Are you doing a yarn under?" And I literally had to stop and think, I don't really know the difference. I don't know. I had to, after I ended that live, I thought, I need to educate myself and learn a little more. Miss Dana K, thank you so much for the heart me, my friend. Appreciate you. Sparky says, I remember that live. Yeah. I got asked the question and I couldn't really answer because I didn't know. It was one of those things that I never talked about when I was learning to crochet. And so I went off and I educated myself. And now when somebody asks me how I do my stitches, um, you know, I'm able to articulate and explain so that people can learn the difference. Because I think a lot of us old schoolers, where we learned from a family member or a member at church or a friend or any of that, we didn't talk about that stuff. It just wasn't. It wasn't a thing. We just kind of did it and we figured it out, kind of thing. So that has been a fun part of me coming on TikTok is when all of you guys ask me these challenging questions and then I have to scratch my head and do some research and learning and all those things. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Rojo, thanks for being here this morning. I see you all the time on Rachel's live, so it's nice to have you here, my friend. Nice to have a new friend popping in. We had a number of new friends that I missed earlier this morning. Let me rewind here and see if I can shout some of those out. Octavia, good morning. Welcome in, my friend. Nice to have you here. Thank you for the follow. Who else popped on here? I saw some new folks for popping by. I love when we get these. Patricia, thank you so much for sharing the live. Thanks for being here this morning. Friends, if I did miss your comment, feel free to ask again. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. Again, I will remind everybody I am not an expert crocheter. I learn new things every day. This morning, I learned how to make a new snowflake, which I'm very excited about. I've never made a snowflake before. So I've been talking to my friend Leah, Leapin' Llamas, who's on here. Oh, yes, the yarn, Karina, sorry. Somebody else asked about the yarn. This is Herrschners Holiday Sparkle. It's a beautiful yarn. It's like a country Christmas colors, guys. So it's not your traditional bright red and bright green. It's very soft colors. Um, Ivory, This is like a loofah green and then kind of more of an olive green. And then this, instead of being that bright red that we traditionally have for Christmas, it's like a rose color. And the three or the four colorways here, I think just look fabulous together. So I'm going to make a blanket. Did you eat the 8 pack that has different colors? I did not, Candy Joe. I bought 2 skeins of every single holiday sparkle and some of the Halloween sparkle they have, some of the 4th of July sparkle. I got them all. I got them all. I couldn't resist. I love this yarn. It's really, really nice. Holiday Elegance is the colorway that I'm using. To all of our, I wanted to mention, guys, I am behind on the super fan and the YouTube member video for the month of September. I have not forgotten, friends. My work day was absolutely crazy yesterday. I literally got off work late and I just went to bed. And I didn't get a lunch yesterday. I will definitely get that video posted. I'm gonna try to get to it today, but for sure by the weekend. Okay, so for all the super fans and members, please don't fret. I'm definitely going to. I'm still doing that for September. Okay, I know some of you are probably like, "Dang, April, get it together," but my work has just been really challenging this week, so I apologize. But stay tuned. It's coming. Okay, it's definitely coming. Can we see the Halloween color? Teresa, I will have it hopefully next week. Herrschners is supposed to be delivering. I call it the FedEx yarn truck. Leah was laughing at me yesterday. She goes, "We no longer call it just the FedEx truck." I said, "No, it is the FedEx yarn truck, the yarn shuttle, because I always get my yarn. They always use FedEx. Lion Brand does, and Wally World does, Herrschners does, a lot of the big ones that I buy from. So I'm always excited to see the FedEx guy or gal when they arrive. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch to the corner. User 2 said, "I haven't crocheted in over a year. You make me want to pick it up again, right? User 2, maybe this is the weekend. You can do it, my friend." Crocheting brings me such joy, as you guys all know. It's very relaxing. I save on counseling. I spend that money on yarn instead. All the things, all the important things. We're making a solid granny square today. Solid granny square. Very, very easy square to work on. It's beginner friendly. FedEx is bringing you a vacuum today, huh? Nice. Sunny, Deborah, and Mimi, thank you so much for the follows. So, Halloween yarn. I think we're going to have to do something for Halloween next week, guys, especially after that yarn comes. I'm kind of excited about it. So, definitely set your calendars next Tuesday. I don't know if I'm going to do the Halloween on next Tuesday, but definitely we're going to be doing some of that coming soon. What are you going to make with all the granny squares? I'm going to make a blanket, Katrina. It's going to be a lap blanket, wheelchair size, and it will be donated to charity. I send my stuff as part of Warm Up America to Sabre Healthcare. So far this year, I've made like 26 or 27 blankets, all wheelchair size. And it's just my way of kind of giving back. And so, anyhow, yeah, this will be another one. Hopefully, I can get it sent off and they can use it for Christmas there at the assisted living facility. Won't that be nice? Let's snip off. We're now to that beautiful rose color. Look at that, guys. Isn't that nice? Wowee. I love that. Wait, what's not therapy? Yarn therapy. Are you using a maroon border for all the squares? I am not, Amy. As you can see here, I've got a whole pile of these. My little organizer has gotten a little twisted up as I've been throwing it around in my lap this morning. But some of them I outlined with the olive color, some of them I outlined with the light sage color, and some of them I outlined with the red color. Now, each one looks a little different. And I just am mixing and matching whatever I feel like at the moment. They're just going to be kind of, I think of it like a country Christmas. Like, think about Little House on the Prairie as they were like using up, um, old scraps of yarn, kind of that feel where it just kind of works out how it works out. Kind of no rhyme or reason, kind of random colors. That's kind of how I was thinking about it. And so each one is kind of a little different. I think they're going to look really pretty when we put them all together. Hey, Hannah, good morning. Welcome in. Good afternoon, I should say. Hope you're having a good day, my friend. Like a country patchwork quilt. Thank you, Paloma. That's the word. And buenos dias. I don't know if I said good morning this morning. My bad. I just noticed you do a yarn under. I tried the yarn under and I can't stop my brain from yarn over. Oh, that's okay. There's no, it doesn't matter who is asking that. It doesn't matter if you do a yarn over or a yarn under. I do it just because that's how I learned, but keep doing your yarn over. It's totally fine. A lot of people do the yarn over. That's what most people do. I think I'm the strange one that does the yarn under. So anyhow, when I watch on the tablet, it doesn't show me the comments pinned. It shows me them kind of different. Um, we have a lot of left-handed friends here, Mary. We did a poll once because I um, was fascinated at the ratio of left-handed to right-handed crocheters that we had in the chat. And yes, Kazi, there's a lot of tails to weave in, my friend. A lot of tails. This is a 5-inch square, Carol, 5-inch square. Um, Okay, let's see. 5-inch. There you go. There's our size. 5-inch square. I'm the stranger that comes to the lives and calls people out on their yarn under. Rojo, we're going to have to start calling you the crochet police, my friend. We got crochet police in the house. You know what happens when that occurs. Wee woo, wee woo. There's one in every live. That's right, Miss Leah. Rojo just got called out. Crochet police in the house, y'all. We mean that in all fun seriousness. Don't take it personal. We love you. Let's see. Anyhow, back to the left-handed. We did an actual poll because I was fascinated with the number of left-handed crocheters we had in the live. And it was over the national average. It was fascinating. We haven't done it in a long time, and but it is kind of a cool thing that happens with. I think because crocheters are very creative, and a lot of left-handed folks are extremely creative. So I'm using an I9 hook this morning. Betty, if you need a written pattern, Miss Betty, you could Google solid granny square. This is not a unique to April kind of pattern. There are lots of written tutorials for this, but it is called the solid granny square. Rojo said, "Do you know how to crochet left-handed? I wanted to learn, but I get stuck after the chains." So, Rojo, I actually tried, okay? Because I thought to myself, when you're making stuff and you've got to turn your work and go back the other direction for some patterns? I thought, you know what? I'm going to learn to do left-handed so I can crochet right-handed this way and then go back the other direction and do it left-handed. And then I don't have to turn my work. And then all the stitches would look uniform. It's really hard. I don't know if it works that way. I try. It twisted the stitches. Yeah, I did try, my friend. I really did. And then after like struggling with like this many double crochets, I'm like, yeah, that was a bad idea. I'm done with that now. I'm going to start with standing double crochet in the corner and we're going to work on our final row here. Hey, Natural, welcome in. Good morning. Uh, okay, 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. Miss Betty, are you good with the pattern? Did you hear what I said about the solid granny square? Now, friends, if you are watching this morning and you want to go back and rewatch this live, we are live this morning both on TikTok and over on YT. My handle is Wheeler 8 Acres. Okay. When you look at my channel on YT, there is a category that says videos, there is a category that says shorts, and there's a category that says live. Anytime we go live over on YT, like this morning, you can go back and rewatch the video. So, yesterday and Tuesday, we worked on the little pumpkins. You can go back to the live tab and you can see how we made our little pumpkins. I got them both finished. Aren't they adorable? This is the Wheeler woven stitch. Okay. So that tutorial is over there. Again, you're going to go to the live tab and you'll be able to find these replays. And you can find all of them from when we started going live over on YT. So feel free to check that out. I would love it if you would hit the subscriber button over there. I do stream horizontal on YT. I stream portrait on TikTok and horizontal so you can watch it on your TV. But right now, we have friends that are watching on YT along with TikTok this morning. And when I appreciate you being here on both platforms. So thank you. Yes, YT, my handle is Wheeler 8 Acres. Mods, can you type that out for me? What YT is for those that don't know. I just am a little leery after yesterday, everything being so winkety wonkety. And I am doing a double crochet row, friends. This is called a solid granny square. What I'm doing is I'm putting 2 double crochets into the corner, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets into the corner. All of our corners are worked exactly the same. 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Now, as we work along, we're going to put a double crochet in the top of each of these stitches, and I'm going to work that under both loop. Imelda, thank you so much for the follow this morning. Miriam, good morning. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in, new friends. If you are new to my channel, my name is April. I am a hobby crocheter. I come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings at 7:30 Central Time, and I stay on for a couple hours. We have our coffee, we chat, we talk about crochet stitches. I do some crochet teaching, all the things. And it's just a fun place to come and hang out. It's not just about me here. We have a fabulous group of moderators that help out and a fabulous group of friends. As you can see, we're already at 18,000 taps this morning, almost 20,000. Isn't that incredible? Y'all, thank you so much for all of the taps that are happening. Really appreciate that. E&M, thank you so much for sharing the live this morning. Okay, almost there. We've got one more side to finish, and then this little square is going to be done. Now, guys, I am controlling the colors on this yarn as I'm working it. And when you do that, I will give you fair warning. You're going to have a lot of tails to weave in. You could, working with this Herrschners yarn, just let your colors flow. However, your rows are not going to work out to be the exact length that you need. So you may end up with white all the way out to your third row and then continue on. For some people, it's no big deal. And if you're one of those folks where you could just let it flow, by all means, this is a beautiful yarn to work with. They have a lot of different colorways. I really like the blue and silver that they have. I'm making some other granny squares with this one. I don't know if I can reach them. They're over here yonder. But this one is a really pretty yarn. And I'm working like little snowflake squares with this. Eventually, I'll be doing this one on the live as well as we get more into winter. This one is called Frosty. But again, it's that Herrschners worsted sparkle. They also have solid colors as well. So, for example, you can get the worsted sparkle. However, the reason why I didn't get solid colors for this is they don't have these shades available. I had to get the variegated skein, and I'm just using the colors as I want out of that skein. But they do have red and green. The green they have is more of like a Christmas green where it's um, like a forest green, I guess you could call it. It's not so olive looking as this yarn. So it looks definitely different. And it's a brighter red. They have a darker maroon burgundy and then a brighter red. So it's beautiful yarn though. They also have white. I ordered some buff, but really nice yarn. And the thing I like about this is a lot of the sparkles, when you buy these yarns, the sparkle strand is incredibly thick. Yes, fir tree green, rinse rehour. Thank you. That is a great way to explain that. I'm getting this from Herrschners, from Herrschners. Um, the sparkle strand is very, very thin on this yarn. Some of the other ones I've gotten, it's very thick, and as I use it, it's incredibly rough. Herrschner's has this dialed in, guys. It is beautiful. It gives that little shimmer. It's not too much shimmer. It's just the perfect amount, in my opinion. And it's soft when I work with my yarn. You know, I'll sit here and crochet all day. When I worked with some of the other sparkles, I literally had like a cut here where my yarn flows over my hand from that metallic yarn, literally like slicing into me. So this one does not do that, and I really enjoy this yarn. It's fabulous. Um, anyhow, hope that helps. Jude, good morning. Thank you so much for sharing the live this morning. Marina, good morning. Thank you for the follow, my friend. Welcome in. We're making some solid granny squares this morning. This is a very easy pattern for beginners. There are lots of YouTube tutorials on how to do that. Oops, I wasn't supposed to say that. Lots of YT tutorials. I love TikTok Shop. Um, Lots of YT tutorials you can watch. You can rewatch this live we're doing this morning, but it is worked with all double crochets and chains. So if you know how to make that stitch, it's a great option for your granny squares. I'm going to go ahead and snip off this red. We're going to get ready to do another square. So I just kind of flatten these out. I have to give them a little tug after I've done it. It helps to set your stitches and just kind of get it ironed out. As it sits here, it'll get a little more relaxed and be nice and uniform, ready to sew into a blanket. So we'll add them to the little clip here. And this is one that how it looks after you have woven in all the tails. So this is how the back looks and how the front looks. Really, really pretty. That is a good deal for the shipping, the $4.99. That is a good deal for the shipping. Sometimes if I don't wait for the shipping deal, it could run me upwards of, 15 to, I think I've even paid 20 bucks. But y'all, when I buy yarn, okay, I'm not buying like 5 skeins. I'm buying like 20 or more skeins, right? So I might not be the best gauge of shipping costs. Annie and Patty, good morning. Thank you so much for the follows, my friends. Welcome in. Terry Bear said, I love your technique. Thank you so much, Terry Bear. I appreciate that. So here's where we're at with our yarn. We have, because I'm trying to use all the yarn that we have as it's coming off the skein, we have little bundles of leftover yarn. Now, I know because I've done a bunch of these squares, not one of these colors has enough to do a third row of this color. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new square and I kind of piecemeal these together as I'm making them. So that way I don't end up with a bunch of extra yarn laying around. So why don't we switch? Let's do a dark green for the center and start a new square. Well, maybe we should do the light olive for the center. I can't tell. I guess these are about the same amount. We'll do dark green. Sure, why not? Okay. Michelle, thank you so much for the order. I just ordered this color from Herrschners. Also, the blue color Christmas one. This one right here, I love. This is probably the one you mean, Michelle. It is beautiful. This is the colorway Frosty. Frosty. I already have a blanket started with this for squares also. Do you know how many squares you would need for a throw size blanket? I do, Miss Carrie. So these squares are 5 inches. Y'all want to do some math with me? These squares are 5 inches. I like my throw blankets to be 50 by 60 size, 50 inches by 60. If we take 50 divided by 5 inches, that gives us 10 squares. Okay. So one direction, the 50-inch needs 10 squares. Okay. Now somebody do math for me. The other direction we want is 60 inches. What's 60 divided by 5? Do we have any math whizzes in the house that can help me out? 12. Okay, so we're going to have 10 going the 50 direction, 12 going the other direction. So if we take 10 times 12, we get 120. You would need 120 squares to do a 50-inch by 60-inch size throw blanket. Thank you, all my math friends. I used a calculator and I work in an accounting office. That's okay, Anarchy. I'm that way too. I think the answer in my head. Tell me if you guys do this. I think the answer in my head, and then I go back and check myself because I don't trust that I can math. Is anybody else like that? It's a whole thing. Um, how are you going to join your squares for your blankets? I am going to use the mattress stitch for these. So each one has a different border on it. And I'm going to basically put them together, and then we're going to join with a mattress stitch, which is basically an invisible stitch, and get these two colors to like line up perfectly in theory. All right. But that's the plan. Rojo is mattress stitch. I can't even count stitches with my hands to help. Right. So here's the thing, guys. One of the tricks that I like to do, I make a wheelchair size blanket, which is 35 by 45. Okay, so if I wanted to do all squares, I would take 35 divided by 5 is 7. 45 divided by 5, the long way, is 9. 7 times 9 is 63 squares. I will tell you all, by the time I'm like at 20 squares, I'm like not interested, right? I'm like, okay, I don't want to make more than like 20. So what I have figured out for one of my patterns is I will make 20 squares. I do 3 squares in the center. I'm making a rectangle blanket. I incorporate in the modern granny stitch. I do a bunch of rows of the modern granny. And then I put another row all the way around of my granny squares. And then I finish the blanket with the modern granny. I put a ruffle border on it. Done. I didn't have to make oodles of squares. I still got to make some squares. It's a nice compromise. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start another square now, guys. I started with a slip knot on my hook, and we did a chain of 3. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch that we made. So I'm going to slide my hook into that first stitch that I did, and I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to try to pull up a loop. The tinsel is messing with me, and I'm going to slide through. Okay. That is the little center where I'm going to make that. Now, some people prefer to do a chain of 4. So again, slip knot on your hook, chain of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then again, I work in the back loop here, and I slide under, pull up a loop, and bring through the next one, slip stitch. Okay, so there's your center. See how that center is much larger? So again, you could do a chain of 4 as well. I'm a chain of 3 kind of gal. So in this case, we're going to do a slip stitch on our hook, and I'm going to do my chain of 3. This little center now will be a little tighter as we work our stitches. Okay, so there is our center stitch. Now, one of the ways I like to start my granny squares, and some of y'all have seen me do this a whole lot. I will either start with a chain of 3. Some people like to do a chain of 2. What I actually like to do is a standing double crochet. The way I do this is I bring up a loop to about the height of what I think a double crochet will be. I rotate my hook counterclockwise. I put a little twist in my yarn here. I slide my hook through that center. I grab up a loop. So now I have 2 loops on my hook. Okay, 2 loops. I yarn over, pardon me, instinctively, you're going to want to pull this loop underneath both. I don't do that. I pull it through the first loop. Okay, now I have 2 loops on my head. or excuse me, on my head, on my hook. I'm reading comments and it's getting me mixed up. Now, instead of pulling through, I need to keep both loops on my hook. So I bring my hook down, I twist away from me and up, and I keep both those loops on my hook. And then I pull through both. That is how I make my standing double crochet when I first start out. Okay, let's do that again because I know a lot of people are going to ask me to do it again anyhow. We'll just automatically do it. Okay? This is what I call a standing double crochet. I prefer this into instead of a chain of 3. Okay, let me rewind here. The comments are flying really fast and I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff. Friends, let me just say, if I miss your comment, please ask again. I'm not trying to intentionally overlook you. We have a lot of folks here this morning that are asking a lot of new questions, and I'm trying to keep up as best I can. Okay. So let's see. I've never seen this one before. Oh, yes. This is my standing double. I do things a little weird, a little different. Weird in a good way, I like to think. Um, so here we go again. I pull my loop up to about the size of a double crochet. I twist my hook counterclockwise towards me and away from me. I put a twist in my loop. I go down through that center and I pull up a loop. So now we have 2 loops on our hook. Again, pull that loop up the same height as your double crochet. I yarn over. Now, instinctively, you're going to want to go under both loops. We're not going to do that. We're going to go under the first loop. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn our hook down and away from us, and I'm going to twist up in the other direction, keeping both the loops on my hook. And then I yarn over and pull through both. And then I carry on with my next 2 double crochets. When you do this, it resembles a double crochet. Did I just blow your mind? That's pretty cool. Okay, so you can see how nice it looks. It has the same slant here because of how we twisted. I really don't like the look of the chain. Again, friends, I'm not being critical. If you like to do the chain, there are times where I still do the chain. When I'm working a hexagon cardigan, I still use the chain. I don't like how the double standing double looks. Okay. My only question is, what was the center you pulled through to the beginning? Can you get closer? I created a chain of 3. I also do a magic ring here as well. I do both. Today I'm showing both. I've showed that both the magic ring and also a chain of 3. Okay. So I'm working into that magic ring or the chain of 3. Does that help? Oh, we've made it big now. The bots are here. Hello, bots. Welcome in. Back to back bots. How about that? Sorry. Friends, please, the mods will get all the little bots that are coming in. All right. Chain 2, and then we're going to do another 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets. We're going to do another one of these right away, guys. So don't worry. We're going to do another one of these. I will show the standing double again. I've only showed it once this morning, and we'll show it again when you have the same yarn. So typically, if I'm working on a blanket and I'm carrying my yarn and using the same color as I'm doing the rounds, I will use this same technique, the standing double. And I have a great day. Thank you so much. How do you know which ones are the bots? Um, you know what a peach bottom is? A little peach. If you look at the pictures, they have usually like not nice pictures. So every now and then we see them popping in. They're nothing I can control. It's a whole TT thing. I slip stitch to the very first stitch, and then I'm going to snip off. Where's my scissors? Okay, so we have another. They're kind of offensive, Christina, when they come on. Just curious, what do the bots do when they're on the live? They try to get you to come look at their page. Sometimes they are doll hair driven, and sometimes they are other thing driven. Please don't make me say it. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do another one here. Okay, so this time I'm going to do a magic ring, and I'm going to do my magic ring April style. All right. Again, if you don't like to do the magic ring, you can do a chain just like we did on the last one. But for this one, let's do a magic ring. So I yarn over and I bring down a loop. I want to give myself a long tail here so I have enough to weave in. This yarn, I have it crisscrossed here with a little loop that sticks out to the right, or yeah, to the right. I hold the crisscrossed area here between my middle finger and my thumb. I'm going to work a standing double crochet into this magic ring. I don't go through the magic ring, okay? That's not how I do it. I take my hook, I wrap my yarn around twice so I have 2 loops on my hook. I bring my hook down, I go through that ring, under the tail as well, so I'm going under both, and I pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That is my standing double into my magic ring. A lot of times when people do magic rings, they work their single crochets into these. I prefer just to get the job done and do my double crochet. Again, you don't have to do a magic ring and you don't have to work it this way. You could still do a chain of 3 here if you prefer that. I prefer the look of the standing double. Okay, let me do it again. Just let me rewind here because this is new to some folks. Okay, so get yourself a long tail. I wrap my yarn around and I bring down a loop so that it's a crisscross. This loop sits over to the right, pointing to the right. I hold the crisscross area right here between my middle finger and my thumb. Now I'm going to work a standing double crochet into this magic ring. I wrap my yarn around twice so we have 2 loops on our hook. I bring my hook down. I slide underneath the ring that we made, the loop, and also the tail. I bring up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. Then I yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So we have a standing double. Then we're going to put 2 more double crochets right into that magic ring. We need a total of 3. And that's how that stitch is looking. So you don't have to do the chain. Again, it gives you that really beautiful center where you have your double crochet. Again, if you like to do the chain of 3, it's totally fine. There's no rules. You don't have to do it the way that I'm doing it. I'm just trying to share some different techniques if you are looking to maybe elevate your crochet and get to the next level. It's a fun way to do this. But can you see how nice that stitch looks there that we made the standing double? Really digging it. Friends, this yarn is no, I don't mind at all, E&M. And as a matter of fact, friends, I'm live on YT this morning, okay? So if you have learned some new things this morning and you need to go back and rewatch, feel free to go over to YT. My handle over there is Wheeler 8 Acres. Again, I'm a hobby crocheter, guys. I've been crocheting for 40 years, and I like to come on and teach little crochet stitches and tips and tricks and different. I do a different pattern pretty much every single day when we come live. I come live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings at 7:30 Central Time, and I stay on till about 9:30. So we've got another 30 minutes um, before I have to hop off and go to work. I'd rather stay here with you guys all day crocheting. I join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch I made, which is that double crochet, and then I snip off. And we'll be ready to start the next color here for our square. Okay, so there's 2 very similar but different ways to start your centers. Again, They look pretty much the same. We use two different techniques for doing both. The one on the right was used with a chain of three center. The one on left was used with a magic ring. Now, I will say, friends, if you are using a magic rings have been known to come apart, especially if your blanket is going to get a lot of washing. You'll remember at the very beginning, I said I leave myself a long tail. And when you are weaving in your tails of your magic rings, it is very important that you split your fibers. So let me talk about that real quick. We're going to weave in this tail. I don't want people to be afraid of the magic ring. Some people are afraid because it's not always a popular thing. However, it's really important for amigurumi if you're going to get into that. Um, the magic ring is very helpful. So as I'm weaving in this tail, okay, I've got it on my darning needle, right? I'm going to weave around the center numerous times as weave in this tail. Now, here's the thing. I split the fibers. When you look at a strand of yarn in the factory, what they do is they take multiple strands and they twist them together. So if I twist this apart, you can see it is comprised of four strands of yarn. I kind of messed that one up, but it's got four different strands and these are twisted together. Okay, they're twisted, and that is what helps keep this yarn together. When I weave through, what I try to do is I don't try to go underneath the yarn so that the hook is just sliding underneath. What I attempt to do is I attempt to put my needle through the fibers, which I call splitting the fibers. And what happens is this twisted strand, because of how it is manufactured, it will help to hold on to the tail that we're weaving through. And when you split the fibers numerous times as you go around and around and around, it is impossible to get out when I do it. There have been times I've tried to go back and get the center out, and I literally have to cut off because that yarn is no longer usable. It is in there so tight. So I just work around, but as I'm doing this, I'm not just taking the easy slide through, okay? I'm very strategically trying to split those fibers through all of those stitches and have that help to grab on to my yarn. And when you do this several times, I promise you, try it, go try to take it apart. It will rebuild your confidence in using a magic ring. Because I promise you, if you try to get it out when you split these fibers, you're going to have a really hard time and you're going to throw in the towel and give up. And then you're going to be like, oh, okay, I can do a magic ring now. I feel confident. My stitches aren't going to come undone. So, again, if you prefer to do the chain as it's more secure, I'm not trying to throw any shade, right? However, you feel most comfortable. But if you want to try the magic ring, you can see how many times I'm going underneath this. And you're probably sitting there going, that's like excessive. But I can say with confidence, it's not going to come out. It's going to be good. Okay. Snip off. And now we're ready to start our next color. Okay, so that is our, now if again, even when I'm doing this one we did with the chain, I still use that same technique to weave in my end. I still split the fibers. I still do that exact same thing. Because how many times have you gone to wash your blanket and all of a sudden your tail is hanging out after you wash it? Has anybody had that happen to them? If you go around and split the fibers, the odds of that tail coming out in the wash and in the dryer is much less, much less. So even if I do a chain of 3, I still want to weave that in very nicely. Okay. So let's get some more yarn here. I don't know if I have enough red to make another center. Let's go back to our skein. We're back to the white color. It's more of like an ivory color. And let's go ahead and start another square here. We'll get another row going. Okay, guys, I'm doing a lot of stitch talk today. The mods are doing their very best to answer questions. Feel free to ask again. As we start working on this next row, I'll have a better chance of reading the comments if I've missed anything. I will give a rundown real quick of what we're working on as well before we start this row. And hopefully that will help to answer some of the questions as well. This morning, I'm using an I9, a 5.5 millimeter hook, and it's the same hook that the yarn manufacturer recommends. The yarn we're using today is the Herrschners Holiday Sparkle. I get this yarn from Herrschners. I'm told this morning on the chat that they have a discounted shipping right now. They have this in multiple colorways. I bought them all. They've got fun Halloween colors. They've got other Christmas colors. I have this one next to me because I'm making other squares with it. This one is called Frosty. This one that we're working with today is called Holiday Elegance. Absolutely beautiful yarn. They also have solids as well that you can get. They've got green, they've got red. These are pretty good sized skeins, friends. So this particular one is 489 yards. Now, this does have a sparkle to it. A lot of the yarn I've used with sparkle, the metallic in it is so thick that as I use it, it is really rough on my hands. And I've come away after crocheting for an entire session, for me is an all day thing, with a huge cut here in my finger because that metallic literally cut into my skin. With this holiday sparkle, the amount of metallic that is in it is very, very fine. It's a very fine metallic. It's almost like a thread size, if you can even see that. I don't even know if you can see it. It's incredibly fine. And this does not happen with this yarn. I'm not affiliated with Herrschners, guys, but I love their yarn. This one is called Frosty, the blue one, little red. Thank you for being here. I saw your note this morning as well that you were stopping by. I haven't had a chance to say a hi to a lot of you guys. So anyhow, welcome in everybody. Susie, good morning. Thanks for being here, friend. I order from Herrschners. It's called Herrschners. This particular colorway is called Holiday Elegance. Um, yeah, 489 yards, 92% acrylic, 8% polyester. That polyester, friends, is coming from that metallic in your yarn. Okay. The rest is all acrylic and machine washable and dryable. I mean, does it get any better than that? For Christmas, I mean, make a throw blanket for your couch, make a pretty poinsettia throw pillow maybe. I'm making a blanket for donation. This is going to be for charity. So much fun. Love it. We are working this morning with a solid granny square. This is a very popular square. It is nice to incorporate in if you want to mix and match multiple squares together. So what I mean by that is, like, if you're doing a bunch of flower squares, sometimes too many flowers can become overpowering for your project. Like if you're making a big blanket. Also, a lot of flower squares can become really time consuming and a bit monotonous. One of the ways you can kind of combat that is if you make a solid square and pair those together. So you would use the same type of yarn with it. Maybe you pick one and you do it all in one solid. This is also a great square if you're scrap busting, right? So if you got a whole bunch of scraps in your stash and you just want to use them up, you can do a different row for each color. Now, one word of caution, friends, as you're doing this, you're going to have a lot of tails to weave in. Okay. So that is one thing. If you don't like weaving in tails, then you're going to want to use all the same color for your square. And then that will really help to reduce that amount that you have. For me, I'm going to be pairing this um, solid granny square and I'm going to be pairing it with the modern granny stitch and I'm going to make a modern granny blanket with it. So we're going to be working on that later on down the road. Okay, I'm just prepping right now and I'm getting these squares made for us to then go back and do the blanket. So I don't know if it'll be next week. It might be a couple weeks. It might be closer to Christmas. We're probably going to shift some more gears, do some Halloween type stuff. And, next week will be all different stuff. We might not revisit these for a couple weeks, but here we go. I'm going to start into this corner. I like to put my tail across the corner. When I start my next row, like to start with a standing double crochet. Now, if you do not like to do the standing double, you most certainly could do a chain of 3 here. You could do a stacked single. The way I do this is I start with a slip knot on my hook, and I like to hold my tail. Holding the tail is very important as you're making a standing double crochet. What I do is I wrap my yarn around so we have 2 loops on our hook. If you do not secure the tail, what'll happen is your yarn will spin off and you'll be back down to 1 loop and you'll be very frustrated. So I hold that tail between my pointer finger and my thumb. I wrap my yarn around, so I have 2 loops. I put my hook through that corner space. And then you can see my hand is at an uncomfortable angle here. I have to secure this tail. I transfer the job of holding this tail to Mr. Thumb over here. This frees up my hand so I can go back to crocheting. I pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That is a standing double crochet. I'm going to put another double crochet into that corner, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. Our corner is worked the same for all of the rows. 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Again, if you don't like that standing double, use your traditional chain of 3 in place of that, or your stacked single. Either way is totally acceptable. Fadia and Aubrey, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. Now I'm going to work double crochets into the next 3 stitches. I'm going to work under both loops. And we're just going to place a double crochet at the top of each of those stitches. So there's our front loop and back loop, yarn over, and do our double crochet. We're going to have a total of 3 of these. And then we're going to be back to the corner. So once again, in the corner, we need 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. We're going to work that all the way around. So instead of doing your traditional granny square, where you work your corners that have 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, then you reach all the way over to the next corner, we're adding some solid techniques here where we do our double crochets that will close in that square. Into the next 3 stitches, working under both the front and the back loop, we will work 3 double crochets, 1 into each stitch. Again, I'm sliding under. Here's our front loop that's facing me. Here's the back loop that's away from me. I'm going under both of those. Between the stitches, good morning. Welcome in. Appreciate having you here this morning, friend. Into the next corner, once again, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. Along the side, once again, 1 double crochet into each of those stitches. We would repeat this technique and then finish the square. You can continue going with this as big as you want your square to be. In my case, I'm stopping at 4 rows. 4 rows of this stitch gives me a 5-inch square, which plays very nice with the modern granny that I'm going to pair it with. So here's our last side, double crochet into each of the stitches. Then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and snip off. And you could weave in your tail at this point. So there is our second round of our square. Again, I kind of just pull the stitches. It's good sometimes to pull your stitches and kind of get them set in place, and just kind of straighten it out as you go along. And you'll end up, after you do several rows, with a square that looks like this. This is what it looks like on the back. Really beautiful square. So, friends, this is a great place for me to be stopping. I have to go to work. I hope everybody had a fabulous morning here with me. If you are enjoying the live and you've not hit the follow button, now is the time to do that. You do not want to lose me forever. I will be live again next Tuesday at 7:30 Central Time, at which time I'll stay on until 9:30, and then it's time for work again. I do not know which projects we're going to be working on next week. I've been playing with some snowflakes. Somebody asked, will I teach how to do snowflakes on the live? I'm thinking that would be a good plan. So we might have some snowflakes. Now these have not been starched or blocked. I made this little guy this morning who I really like this little guy. Isn't he cute? I'm thinking about putting these on my Christmas tree. If you're wondering what I'm going to do with my snowflakes, I thought I'd make maybe some snowflake ornaments. I really like this little guy here. But this one is nice as well. So we might be doing some of these. I'm not really sure. We also have corner to corner. I think I'm going to be teaching corner to corner next week. I'll spend some more time with it over the weekend, and then I'll be able to come on and teach you guys what I've learned. I just started doing corner to corner on Sunday, so it's very new to me. My first time ever doing it, but I've learned so much. So I think that would be a fun project as well. Anyhow, my point being, lots to come. There's never enough time for all the crochet projects, right? So I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will see a lot of you on Maggie's Live over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'll see you all there, and some of our other creators that go live. But I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much for all of the likes, shares, screen taps, and gifts. 43,000 likes this morning. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Thank you so much. Bye for now.